Ba 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 ba.
Thank you for listening to the Stardom Fan Podcast. I'm Mark,
I'm Juno.
and today we are gonna talk about the Cinderella Tournament. That's right. Anyone in the chat, just to throw it out there, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, we will be talking about the finale, pretty much the final four to the end.
Really stands out. There's some things. They're just getting right at it, huh? Boop a boop a boo. Man, a lot of stuff happened on this pay per view, huh? What match was that? It was the last ever DDM match. Himika. Well, they might as well shut it down, right?
What's that?
DDM.
Shut down DDM?
Yeah, because Himika's gone. Might as well wrap it up, huh? Close up shop.
I mean, I don't know. They still have, I mean, Micah. I mean, the funny part is, like, it almost feels like all Micah's friends are gone. But then we still have her ladyship.
Yeah,
There's Thekla.
yeah.
Well, that's really it, I guess. I guess you're right.
It was Cosmic Angels versus DDM. If two factions could be forever foes, so just um DDM kicked the Cosmic Angels' asses. And I just love the promo because there's lots of talking. Lots of talking. It was the final match before the Cinderella got announced. And we were looking at how much time was left in the show, and it was like 40 minutes. We're like, whoa, this unless someone's gonna cry a lot putting that tiara on, this is gonna get interesting.
Well, you said there is the person who won it. You're like, there is no way she has that much to say.
Yeah. But Julia was really cute. She's like, "Thank you for everyone who came out today. It was our last time with Himika teaming with DDM. Um, we're glad to get the win. And then, by the way, Cosmic Angels, if you guys are gonna fall apart and disband, I really don't care because I don't really think about you. Bye bye." And then this is how else. That's Julia says, "By the way, Cosmic Angels, I'm not telling you to disband because I don't really care if you disband or not." And then she started talking shit to Tam. But then it says DDM exits. Tam Nakano. Kozen will never disband, Julia. Shirakawa. Tam, I'm quitting Kozen today. Right after she says that.
I like how Julia says, because you have a funny quote you brought up a couple times about Tam Nakano. How often does Tam think about Julia?
Oh yeah,
So I
someone
like,
someone asked Tam in like in an interview or whatever, because that's some forever foes right there, Julia and
hmm
Tam Nakano. They're like, Tam, how much do you think about Julia? She's like, Julia? Well, I only really think about her when I'm awake or when I'm asleep.
and now Julia comes out and is more like, you know what? It turns out this is a you problem. Like I
Yeah.
like could care less about you.
Like when Tam gets on the mic and she does her demon gremlin voice, when she forgets to do the idol voice.
Boy, is her real voice after a match terrifying.
Yeah, and
I
that's
mean,
that just gave me the thought. Is this feud with Tam Nakano and Julia, like is it just self-defense? Tam is crazy.
she's definitely crazy.
I mean, Julia's crazy too. That's how did you feel about how are you feeling about this feud? Because after they were both done like doing their promos, I'm like, man, I kind of like them because they're great wrestlers, obviously. But I'm like, Tam's really not likable. Julia's not likable. They're both crazy. Like, I think they deserve each other.
It's you're thinking that. Well, I think we were watching it. Not to be blunt, by the time it was over, didn't you just say, just fuck already? I mean, like, there's a point where we just gotta kick Natsupoi out of the room, and they just got to team up, right?
Natsupoi, that was another thing. Natsupoi needs to take control of Tam's life, get it back on track.
Or it's all been downhill ever since the Natsupoi showed up.
Oh, my original theory that I'm like, because I was in denial. I'm like, no, 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 she's a spy. She wants to break him up.
Natsupoi's tearing them up. Natsupoi's tearing him up from the inside.
Yes, but
I like
Shir
that.
yeah, sorry.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say I like that. I do like I agree that they're both unlikable and their storylines, I don't know, forever foes. I like to watch them fight and not because of really any story. It's just because when they do fight every now and again, which the forever foes, we only get a couple matches. Um they kick the shit out of each other and I love watching them two kick the shit out of each other
Yeah,
for
yeah,
my
yeah.
enjoyment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
We think
we
we've
no winners or losers. They could just fight to a draw every time for all I care at this point.
we like to think we've evolved as humans from gladiatorial combat. We haven't.
Yeah, yeah, we have because it used to just be men killing each other. Now we like to watch women do
Yeah,
it.
sometimes we like to see people get thrown to lions. I don't know who the lion is in that scenario. Let's say Utami. But it gets bigger than that because Tam Nakano says, "Julia, you bitch. Cosmic Angels will never break up." And then Mina Shirakawa says, "Tam, I'm afraid I got some bad news." And then they
As you
both
might have noticed, I bring around these blondes. They dance with me. They carry my luggage. They do my laundry. Turns out they're pretty handy to have around.
This is just turning into the podcast where we talk about all the Tam drama we've been ignoring forever.
Yeah, because it finally blew up in her face.
Because
You can
well,
release all your CDs and your 99-cent iTunes.
yeah, well, we saw the Shirakawas. Let's call them all the Shirakawas, the mini Shirakawas. The
Club
Club
Venus.
Venus. That's members that aren't Mina, and they were mean. And then I was thinking, like, this ends with Mina not being able to control her white girls.
Yeah, they're definitely the epitome of the mean girls. Like,
Yeah,
what, the 90s, early 2000s, every other movie was about the mean girls. Yeah, that's pretty much them. They are not good people. But, I find them very entertaining. Who are they bullying? They had a match. I can't remember. You had everything up because they're by the end of their match, they're bullying somebody.
uh, poor Momo Kogo.
Oh yeah, Komomo. All the three of them are teaming up on Komomo and be like, "You suck, Komomo."
Yeah, I think it was Koguma. It was the Club Venus versus Koguma, Momokogo, and Mayu. And Club Venus
Uh,
wins. And then for no reason, they're like, wait, Momo, stay there. She's like, yeah, you're a loser. You suck. You're ugly. You'll never beat us. And she's like, oh, but I thought
oh.
she would cry. She was pretty good. She's like, s- spoke English, which is
Yeah,
cool.
she was yelling back. She's like, "I am not weak," and basically, I think said something along the lines of, "I'm gonna whip all your asses." I'm like, "All right, Komomo, get him."
I'm gonna take all your candy asses and send them back to Candyland.
But notice, like real mean girls and real bullies, they didn't pick on the icon that was out there.
No, they pick on who they think is the weakest link.
They picked on literally the tiniest girl in the group.
While she was by
Awesome.
herself. This is like high school all over again.
Oh my goodness.
But she said, not weak. I'm strong, and I'm going to kick you in the tits. Something like that.
I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Club Venus, good shit.
Oh, so Mina says, I got some bad news, and I'm leaving. She's like, no. Basically, thank you for all you've taught me, Tam, but I'm leaving, and we're enemies now. So,
Yeah, she basically was like, "Yeah, this leader thing is like pretty cool. So you can do your own laundry." And even Capital Saki's sitting in the corner, and she's trying to pretend to be depressed, and all she's thinking is like, "Oh, great! How am I one of the last people stuck with this lunatic Tam?"
well, yeah, she's just stuck with Natsu now because they both look at Waka and they're like, Waka, you have to choose, which is, I think that's what Tam says. And but Mina's like, yeah, no pressure, you can pick for yourself. And Tam's like, no, you must choose. And Mina's like, no, I mean, if you want to stay with Tam, that's cool. No, you must pick me or this crazy bitch right now or Mina and her winners. and they win a lot. Tam, I'm afraid I got some bad news. And Tam was left crying, holding her Nazi boy.
Club Venus all of a sudden has like four really cool members. Well, you're not sure
Right?
on the new girl,
No,
but on Jesse.
yeah, she was really good. I don't know if she's got the Club Venus vibe, which to be fair, I don't really know what that is, but she's got a badass like punk rocker chick vibe.
Yeah, well, that's what I said too. I like she doesn't really look the part. Like you're picturing like Night at the Roxbury type of thing, and yeah, the other girl is all biker bar, but that's all right. And now we got a Waka. Club Venus is insane. That might have been more exciting than the Cinderella.
Yeah, the other story was the final four. So can we get to let's get to our ladyship, please.
I like well the final four of the Cinderella as a recap on our last show we basically did the first few rounds. The final four of Cinderella Tournament 2023 is Mai Sakurai, her ladyship herself, versus Wakamania, and the winner of that match will go up against Ordinary Ami and the magnificent superstar Mirai on the right
Mhm.
side. So that's our final four. There was a point, and I do have it in recording where I believe so on the last one. Just because I like to pick up wins and losses. I think we were all in on Sakurai taking it because we love her ladyship and
Yeah.
we are just in. Basically, we're not even worthy. And there was a time. I mean, if you could literally, say everybody will win and eventually you'll be right. But it was well known that I have said that Mirai versus Hanan, whoever wins that match wins the whole thing. So I have a 50-50 chance of being right here. And the chat on our last stream and
Well,
podcast
that
almost unanimously voted for Waka to win.
25% chance. Wait, we're doing Scott Steiner math because you got a
Well,
25%
yeah,
chance. There's the final four, right? But Waka knows she can't beat Our Lady Mai Sakurai.
yeah, and Ami
So you
knows
subtract
she's
that
has no chance against
25%
Mirai.
chance. Mai Sakurai and Waka had a banger of a match, and then it ends with Mai Sakurai doing God. What was it called? The Harlem Heat. She gets on the top rope and does a flipping leg drop, and she does like it's great because I think it's gonna smash someone's face every time. But unlike Saya Kamatani, she doesn't care if she smashes your face in,
No,
so it's great.
yeah, she has that big old Sakurai does. She has that big old elbow drop off the top rope, and it is beautiful. And when that's not enough to finish off Waka, she calls. She does the like rolling her hands. It's like I'm like, what is she gonna do? And then she goes to the top. I'm like, oh no, she's gonna do her flipping leg drop. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna be good for literally anybody. Definitely wasn't good for Waka. Waka gets smashed, and Sakurai makes it to the finals.
I like reading. I like reading. Yeah, and then she takes the mic because I hope she takes the mic no matter what, win or loss. Um, she picks up the mic, and I'm just gonna read it how it translates on Google because I think it's funnier that way. Representative of the common people, Waka Tsukiyama. Your explosive story ends today.
Yeah,
Starting tomorrow, you go back to being a dull third rate wrestler.
awesome, right?
I'll let you worship me as Cinderella, so please wait with your pounding heart. Awesome.
That's her promos at the end of each one of these matches are gonna. I mean, that's kind of we're just gonna have to cut them out and make a video
Yes.
because she has transcended. And in 1 month, she has become instantly, instantly a favorite of mine.
And then the two Mirais had a fight, and Mirai
They
won.
did. It was good. They hit each other hard.
Yeah, and then Mirai won.
Yes, she did.
So that
Last
means
year's Cinderella going for a repeat. I don't know if
she
that's
can
ever happened before.
Yeah, she can go for the back to back. We covered the Club Venus match, incidentally. They had all of this is a depressing thought. All of Queen's Quest and basically all of Oedo Tai have nothing to do. They just put them all together in a match.
which ended up being pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it ends with our Pink Devil getting a win. That's always nice. Other thing I noted is like Saki's such a chicken shit. Like, even when she's cheating, if she doesn't 100% think she can get a cheap shot in, there's like any shot, any damage could come to her. She's like, nah, I don't want to help. Like they're doing their
Kashima's so
spot.
effing good.
Like they're doing the like the classic wrestling spot because it works so well for heels when like uh the good guy hits the ropes and then they like kick him in the back or something or trip him up.
Hmm.
Saki's like, no, 'cause if they're gonna hit the ropes really hard, that's what I'm holding on to not fall down. So she runs away from danger. Hanan and Mayu, want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, which match was that? Stars versus
The other guys,
the other guys. Was that Stars versus Venus?
the Nays Pineapple Passion.
Oh, Stars versus the assholes.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, there was a highlight. Uh, so there's like the scaffolding, the lighting rig,
well,
the stuff that.
it's like a WWE WrestleMania style setup where they have the lighting rig set up, but it goes above the ring. So there's like 40-foot tall scaffolding.
Hmm.
Like they look like they're gonna climb up the top rope from the outside. And then Mayu's like, no, no, no. And then they
Yeah,
decide to climb 30 feet up in the air on this scaffolding.
yeah. Mayu starts climbing, and you're like, I didn't notice it at first because I must have been watching something else on the screen because Stardom,
Hazuki.
there's just shit happening everywhere, and you're like, oh, where's she going? And I'm like, oh no, Mayu's gonna climb, and then all of a sudden, Nan's going up with her, and Nan is gonna take the dive. My God, holy cow! She gets halfway up, and they're still climbing. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I see it because I wanted to, but I'm like, that girl looks terrified.
Oh, all I could do because Mayu, sh- she's the greatest wrestler of all time. Oh, that's another thing you could talk about in a second. She's the greatest wrestler of all time. She's gonna be fine. I'm like, Hanan, no. And then she falls. She jumps off onto the bad guys, as I'll call them, and smashes her knees into the ground from like 20 feet in the air. I'm like, oh no.
I did. We also didn't see her the rest of the match.
She disappeared.
Hanan. Yeah, she definitely. So I don't. I mean, I don't. She might have crashed and burned, but I tell you what, that was a big moment right there. I don't remember who won the match, but I remember that was fantastic.
The other thing that I just thought of that was amazing was they're doing like the classic thing that happens in wrestling or oh and you're getting your ass kicked, you're getting your ass kicked. And it's like if I can just get one big move off to get this guy off of me, like I can make a tag.
Mm.
And the assholes, I like that's fine. The passions. Uh they're beating on Mayu's being awesome and just like kicking ass. And then one of the I'll call him passions makes a tag and starts like going wild and kicking Mayu's ass and like keeps knocking her down, and then Mayu hits a super kick and she's thinking like, oh, she's gonna make a tag, right? Nope. And Nene gets in the ring and Mayu just does a kip up and does her fucking crazy zombie face. And it's like, bring it,
Oh,
bitch.
yeah, that was cool. Mayu's, yeah,
Yeah, you brought up a
like
point about we all the great wrestling we've watched so far, and then Mayu just takes it to another level when she feels like it.
yeah. This stars match is an hour into the show, maybe even longer, right? Because it was it right after the intermission.
Yeah.
So they have this match, and it just happens to have Mayu Iwatani in it. And yeah, that's literally the comment is like we just watched an hour and a half of really good wrestling, a very good show, and then Mayu Iwatani shows up, and it's like everything was amateur hour in comparison. Like she transcend everything she does. She's super kicking the shit out of like Danae. And I mean, when she's selling, she's selling. She oh, I'm out of words. So there is something special about that woman.
Icon.
Well, there's the okay. That's the
Iconic.
word. I got.
Oh, and then well, we said Hanan disappeared, and then Saida did Saida things, lost him the match. Ugh.
So then we decided that well, there's a couple of things we said. We're like, how come whenever a faction drops into trios, it's like it's always just not the perfect one. So you
Yeah.
have Mayu
Well, especially
in
when
Hanan.
there's so many better options at ringside. Like they're there, they're in their
I
gear.
know it's like I like the Mayu Hanan. How do you not just throw a Hazuki in there?
Yeah, we're
How do you
baffled
not
by
do that?
that because like we both Saida and Hanan, like I think they were in the tag league together. Wing Gory. I'm like, that's a fun little team, but when you put them in a trio, you're like, can we just get Hazuki,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, please.
please?
That would be too good. I'd watch that forever. Yeah, but that little Tama or that Hanan and
Nay, nay.
Mayu spot like going up together. I mean, that would be neat if something happened from there. If they had a couple extra matches together, if Hanan's working with
Yeah,
Mayu to become
they
the
keep
next
climbing higher and
icon.
higher.
Oh no, I don't want Hanan to do the stupid shit. She's a big girl that probably has a neck and a vertebrae, but maybe some of the normal psychology that I mean, even a regular wrestler can learn something from Mayu, right?
Yeah, there was some great stuff too after the match where Nene's team wins, and Nene is, if you can recall, at one point Nene had a tag match and won the tag titles with some other bitch. And I think that's the last time you ever saw them tag together in a tag match. Anyway, she gets in Mayu's face holding the tag belt in their face, kind of like you do, if, like to show like, hey, I'm the champ, bitch, come get it.
Yeah.
And then Mayu gets the mic when they're leaving and says the wrong city, as you do. Um,
Which instantly you said, I'm like, obviously, she is a 100% gimmick. Yeah, like, of course, she's going to say the city of the
oh
pay per view she's going to next.
yeah,
Like, come on. And then everyone laughs, and then she says the real city she's in, and everyone cheers even louder. Like, come on. It's fucking Mayu being Mayu, but she knows what she's doing.
yeah,
She did it
she
on accident
goes,
once 8 years ago, and it worked. And she's been a joke ever. She's been in on the joke ever since.
yeah, good. She's like, everyone in Yokohama, Konbanwa. Oh, whoops, that's where we're going for the pay per view. Uh-oh. 4
Buy your
days.
tickets. I'll be there.
Yeah. But basically, she says, Nene, because remember, Nene's holding this tag title in her face. And she's like, Nene, I would love to challenge for the tag belts. Unfortunately, I don't have a tag team, so you dumb bitch, I'm gonna talk about the actual belt I'm really challenging for.
Ugh.
And then let's move on.
No, I don't know if we should because, like,
Yeah, let's move on.
Mr. Devil's Advocate, I was like, oh my God, because I still don't like that belt. And you're like, I really want to see her fight
Okay, Mercedes
Sasha
Monet
Banks.
comes out in a COVID mask, which to a American person is like you can't tell the difference. So it might as well be a hockey mask. Uh, jumps Mayu, yeah, and well, you don't like Monet. She is like you're just like I just don't want to watch her, and I have the opposite opinion where I'm like I want to see her get her ass kicked.
But she won't. That's what upsets me. I hate to do the thing that I think makes sense because I'd rather just watch wrestling like the fun way. But New Japan isn't that belt isn't leaving Sasha's waist on Stardom TV. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And Mayu's gonna have to take a 3 count, and she better not tap out.
well, if
Ugh.
we're gonna talk about wrestling the lame way, Mercedes Moné is getting paid a shit ton of money, so Rossi doesn't even want to pay for a camera that works. Half the house shows the cameras like you, they cut to the one camera that's in like, oh well, that's a shitty camera. Put it in the bleachers, like, and then every time they go to the top rope, they cut to the camera and the screen turns blue or purple.
Yeah, I know. The only camera that ever works on those house shows is that one prick with the crotch cam. Like, hey, can we get another angle?
Yeah. He's like, I gotta cover the pin. I'm like, well, fucking, can you shift over to the other side of the ring?
It's always that one prick.
Konami came
Yeah,
back
so
and
no, I do want to say I didn't want to sleep on that. Monet versus Mayu Iwatani is going to be a great match.
yeah.
It's one of those matches where I just feel like I hate a match. I don't think I've ever, since I started watching, and I've been watching before I started watching Stardom. I was watching Mayu Iwatani and Ring of Honor. I don't think I've ever watched a Mayu singles match where I thought she had a 0% chance of winning. I hope it goes to a draw. That's like best case scenario in
Well,
my mind.
sounds like she's a really good bad guy then.
Yeah, so is Nene. Unless Mayu can fly her ass over to one of those like California shows that New Japan does. That's the only way Mayu's winning that belt.
I just got one. I just got one thing to say about this Konami Shuri match. Well, two things. It was nice to see Konami again. Always nice to see
Oh my
Konami.
god, yeah, I forgot that happened. That's a worth talking about because I believe I like that as a possible match of the month contender.
Uh, okay, two things. I keep thinking of things about this match. It was nice to see a match with Shuri where she doesn't have to worry about manslaughter charges after the match. That's always fun.
No, because Kaname it must be healthy enough. I mean, she's bulked up just enough to be able to take Shuri kicks and not look like she's being broken in half. And I don't understand why this match even happened. Like, why did did, did that get lost on you? Why was it Kaname like? Why was Shuri even fighting her number one bodyguard?
Cause why not? Cause Shuri wants to.
For what it's worth, she beat all her other bodyguards well over a year ago, so Kaname never got her turn yet.
You got to Is that how you join? You got to get. It's like a gang. You got to get beat in.
They do the spot. I love it. Like the Shuri matches are just Shuri matches. So like there every now and again in wrestling matches they do the spot where it's like I'm gonna hit you in the chest and then you're gonna hit me in the chest. And they do the spot where it's like I'm gonna sit down and let you kick me in the back. And like Shuri's like, all right, then you kick me in the back. Kanami laid a couple in on Shuri and then Kanami lays down. It's Shuri's turn to throw a couple buzzsaws to the back and it's like, oh no, you did not. It's like I oh like Kaname could. I'll tell you what. Kaname could take a hit. She gave a couple stiff ones too, though. That was fun. These girls had a striking battle and kicked the shit out of each other for a few minutes.
Just kicks her in the face really hard. One, two, three, knockout.
One of my favorite, yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Shuri is like she doesn't have the finishing move. Like her matches don't need to end when she hits her finishing move because sometimes she'll tap you out. Sometimes you're unconscious before you hit the ground. You don't know what's gonna happen. Shuri matches are awesome. She is definitely
What is it called?
like a two to Mayu. Like anyone that fights Shuri has a great match. I
Okay, the match, the official, uh, Shuri wins in 10 minutes and 2 seconds with a face kick. Is the
with face kick.
yeah,
Kick
not
to
a
face.
with just not a face kick. Yeah, with face kick. Kick to face.
And finally,
Um,
I also put this next match up as a match of the month contender. I liked these Sakurai versus Mirai way more than I ever thought I would. Sometimes it's nice to have a match of the month that people should watch that doesn't have Mayu or Shuri in it. I mean, maybe not.
ジェネラルリーパーイズザトップカワイイ
whoa!
オブザコスモス
Hey, we
3
got a Kofi donation, and then my yeah, my little Tommy. All right,
Oh, your
thank
bot
you.
worked?
Yeah, it worked. That's the most surprising thing besides the awesome $3 donation from General Reaper.
General Reaper is the top kawaii of the cosmos. Now that bot is sick, dude. Hey man, thanks, dude. That's awesome.
I forgot that scared me a little bit. I'm like, what's happening? From my perspective, what happens is Utami pops on the screen and her theme song starts playing, and she gives General Reaper a rose. But from my perspective,
Oh,
all of a sudden,
that's pretty
I
cool.
have to start looking around because I hear the boss music. I'm like, huh. Oh no.
Sakurai versus Mirai. It was just a really good wrestling match, and it did what you would expect out of a pay-per-view match for to end a tournament. There was a lot of near falls, and I'll tell you what, it felt like the crowd was really into this match with the oohs and ahs and the near falls, and it definitely felt it was a half and half crowd. Is either a half and half crowd or a crowd that did liked them both to the point where they didn't care who won.
Um, After Mirai beats Sakurai, you'd think she would like huff and puff and storm off or whatever, but she hugs Mirai and she shakes her hand. She's crying. She's like, "All right, good win," and she leaves. I'm like, "Whoa!" You were like, "What happened?" And I had a theory. I'm like, "Well, maybe she came in to the match thinking she was gonna be a lady and over everyone, but after you take that first lariat, southpaw lariat to the face, I my theory was I think she knew it was over from there, and then it was just all about like I can't talk all this mad shit and not put up a fight. Like I gotta at least go
Yeah.
out swinging.
Yeah, it was good. Sakurai took a decent beating. When the match was over and Mirai did win, did she end up winning with just one of her big lariats? I mean, she did like a super jumping, like freaking lariat, um,
She's like
which
Rob
was
Van.
awesome.
She's like Rob Van Dam. She does the thing where she's on the apron and she jumps through the middle rope and does a somersault, and then she jumps up in the air and she clotheslines you. I'm like, whoa, very athletic. No, this match went on. How long does this match go on for? It was only 13 minutes, and it felt like an hour in a good way. Because there's so many like near falls where I'm like, hey, this can go on for another 30 seconds or another 3 days. So we need a winner.
Oh, yeah, that match it was good. There
Well,
was a point. What would have happened? There was I mean, 13 minutes. I mean, it did seem long as far as like their matches go,
well, it
and
just
we
felt
were like, what
good.
happens if this ends in a draw? No, it was perfect. It was perfect time, but like because there was a lot of near falls and all that
Oh,
stuff happening, and it
like
was
a
like,
double
yeah,
count
like
out or something. Like they both
yeah, but
can't
like
get up.
yeah, it's like, well, no one ever said if there was a time
Hmm.
limit in this, did they? Like, what happens if this ends?
Then, if this was my rules, well, it's a draw. Neither of them could fight on. I guess it would be whoever lasted longer, Ami or Waka. No, Mirai wins with a diving crossbody.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking nuts. She like squashed her, and that was after one of her big lariats too. But yeah, Mirai does win after the match. Our ladyship almost seemed humbled, like they did their sort of something happens when you get punched in the face a
Yeah,
lot, where
you're
it's just like you start respecting each other, and it's like you cry a little, and you're like, great match, great match. But I'm
your
sure her ladyship will get her cockiness back by tomorrow.
your delusions of grandeur are shattered when you get punched really hard in the nose by Mirai.
Right.
I was
Oh
really
my
hoping
goodness.
I was if that wasn't the ending, I was hoping that Sakurai beats Waka and then Ami and Mirai goes to a draw. Like, can you imagine like the heel heat, like the speech she can give of her getting crowned Cinderella by a technicality? Like, she didn't even win in the main event. They went to a draw, so she default wins. That would have been
It,
good.
it turns out I did ask you at one point, is Mariah the first one to ever do that? And
Yeah,
in chat, Chris Mingle Chris
right.
brings up that Mayu was the other one. So Mariah's in very good company as a back to back winner.
But can she do it back to back to back?
I don't think yeah, you know what, she's probably gonna need to. Because that's what
She wins eventually until everyone is on board. Like, listen, 8 Cinderellas in a row. At this point, everyone's on her. She gets the Waka treatment. Everyone's like, Mirai, clap, clap, clap.
do you have to finish up, do you have her speech handy by any chance? I would
Uh,
notice
sh-
last year, I believe I remember her coming out in a very pretty blue dress. This year, she came out in the
Ashy
Cinderella
gray.
covered in ash. It's like a grayer blue.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not blue, just like a gray. pretty dress. So it's like the Cinderella covered in ash. That's her thing, and maybe she can
Yeah,
do something with it this year.
well, she's got a tag match at the pay per view in Yokohama, since she said she's probably either at that pay per view or after she'll say what her wish is. Which maybe she says, Himika, I know you want to retire, but you're in God's eye now. That's gonna be your wish.
You know
Yeah,
what's fun? Or fun or odd or something? How does it? How do you say you're gonna retire and you have like what seems to be the funnest 2 months of your life?
because she knows that the
Nothing
beatings
matters.
are over.
Yeah.
Everyone has an amazing. Doesn't matter how awful your job is. Who doesn't have a great 2 week notice? It's like, you mean that I get to not try at work, and what are you gonna do? Fire me?
That is true. One of her first things was the hardcore match she's always wanted to do versus Prominence, where she took like no hardcore bumps. She was like,
she
oh
took
no, I
she
wanted
took
to do it,
one.
but like I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't know what they dumped. They dumped like a bunch of like D20 dice from Dungeons and Dragons, or some
Yeah,
Legos,
they did something silly
or
like
they
that.
dumped like some Legos in the map on the mat, and
Yeah.
Himika takes one bump on the Legos and says, "Yeah, I'm good. I got my that's I got the hardcore out of my
You're
system."
like, yeah, that's hardcore. Yeah, now I know why I never did that before. But do you have our Cinderella's real speech by any chance?
Yeah, she says, "I'm Mirai and I'm the Cinderella and I'm happy," and clap, clap, clap.
I would have thought, yeah, she came out, she was smiling and she was happy. I would have half expected her because she almost had an attitude throughout parts of last year, especially near the end. I would have almost thought that she would have came out and been maybe a little less smiley. Like, you know what? Like, I won this for a second time and now I got to do something with it. You know what? Saya, you're on notice. Julia,
Oh,
you're on notice. Zumi, yeah, that match would suck. But you know what I mean. She should have came out with a grudge, like, "Oh, it's time to prove myself."
well, maybe she'll do. All right, can her wish be to swap Utami and Lady C for her and Ami? Because at one of the showcase shows, we had Shuri, Lady C, and Utami team up, and it was the most glorious trios I've ever seen in my life. Who knew that? Like, all Shuri's so cool. All she needed was some good bodyguards.
And you thought Utami and Lady C was her appropriate bodyguards?
Yeah, because they're cool, and they
God,
balance out. They all right. So Utami balances out Shuri's stupid, goofy nerd side because she's just all cool, and
it
Lady
is
C
true.
balances out Shuri's bloodlust.
It's super funny because after watching like a 10-minute beatdown of Shuri versus anybody in one of her matches, I forget that she's a complete goofball, like in every other situation.
Some
Find a gif where she's not doing something silly, like some kind of dance or something goofy.
some of her mat I can almost describe it as like, I don't even know. Like, you give a child a bunny rabbit and they pet it too hard, or they hug it too hard or something. They don't know their own strength. Sometimes in her match, and it's so funny because they never bring it up. It's like a subtle thing. She'll just be kicking someone really hard in the face. Like, man, this is fun. All right, now you kick me, and they're like concussed. She's like,
Right.
okay, because then there's a point in some of her matches where she's doing that, like, all right, you kick me, all right, now I kick you, and isn't this fun? And then someone like hits her really hard, and like she flips a switch where it's like, oh, we're done sparring. Now it's time you die.
I love it. I love it. That's how ordinary Mirai is. We spent her entire accepted speech talking about how cool Shuri is. I think it's about time to close this up. I do want to, yeah, we're definitely going to hang out for a bit for anyone who's here. But as far as my recording goes, I do want to once again thank everyone for sticking around and listening to the Stardom Fan podcast. I have been Mark, and for Juno, is there anything you want to plug before I go into a couple really big thank yous here? Anything you've been working on, or maybe the what's been going on in the Discord? I make it out a couple days a week, but you and a bunch of people have a great time. As far like I just caught up today, and apparently I shouldn't shouldn't be wearing socks or I should be, or something about elevator felonies.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on in that crazy place.
you, no, we don't talk about that.
We don't. Well, that sounds good. All the links will be in the show notes, while StardomFan.com is under a bit of construction. If you do click on it, it'll send you to the YouTube at this point. But and the Discord, the podcast, the YouTube, all award-winning shows, you can be found in the show notes on the podcast or the YouTube, no matter where you're listening. Big thank yous, if I may, to the donator of the live stream today, General Reaper, aka as some of us know him as Archon Blade. Thank you. I wanted to.
I get the names. I can't keep track.
Well, I know I'm getting to the point where like, yeah, I was like. That's where I used to use the net handles for everything and then different things for here. I'm like, that you know what? I got started getting confused about myself. I'm just gonna go by my like real name now. um, in the show notes, you'll be able to see a link to Patreon. Our Patreon is patreon.com/stardomfan. And I don't know, it's pretty cool. We have 5 supporters there. Archon Blade again, the Stardom fan tier, which earns you a thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cedar Tiger is a producer. You produce this, and you will have producer credits. And our podcast, Twilight Dream, is a Stardom fan that earns you a thank you. Jake Ebert is in hopping in at the creator tier, along with, I believe, your boy, I'm assuming, with this title of Chicken Brain at the creator tier. Send us a message anywhere you see fit. On at that point, it's a show topic. If you know, it'd be we could probably end up throwing
Yeah, if it's not a
an
full,
extra little show in.
yeah, if it'll be we'll try to, if it'll be something. So if it's not a full show, it'll definitely will cover something like on a live stream or something.
Yeah, so that's cool, and a thank you to that. And I wanted to real quick, talking about the Patreon, because I didn't want to sleep on all the support we have had on the past with the coffee,
Yeah.
ko-fi.com. I mean, Archon Blade again today, Enigma last month, Hendrix, Jacob Burrito, the Rainbow Warrior. So thanks to everyone, and really honestly, just for I haven't been in the chat yet, but I will soon. Just for like being in the chat, listening to the podcast. I mean, that's supporting it right there. That's cool. It makes it fun. Like the
Yeah.
100+ people in the Discord, that's like sharing photos and talking about wrestling. That's also amazing. All our stuff, the Discord, any of the links will be found in the show notes. Any of our shows will have all the links at the bottom. A way we just talked about all the money stuff. A way you could help us out too is like, or just in general, like help yourself out, because the community is awesome. Is the old like, share, subscribe. Growing is cool. Every day when we log on, and I'm like, good Juno, congratulations on another 10 subscribers. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, 10 a day really adds up, right? I mean, that's cool
Yeah.
shit, and
I
that's
w-
all because of you guys. It's fun. Uh, and then finally,
well, it's
I
either you're
think.
growing or you're dying. So I'm like, hey, I'll take a new subscriber every day or plateau. If it's between losing people every day and a plateau, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, and thanks for listening. Konbanwa.
Konbanwa.
Um, arigatou gozaimasu.
Jane.
Oishi.